Quintus the baker, a life of flour and yeast. Quintus loved the feel of dough in his hands. He loved the smell of yeast and warm bread. Every morning he woke before the sun. He baked fresh loaves for his village. Everyone loved Quintus's bread. It was their favorite way to start the day. Quintus was a kind and gentle man. He always had a smile for his customers. He knew everyone by name. He even knew their favorite kind of bread. Life in the village was simple. Quintus liked it that way. One day, a merchant came to Quintus's shop. He needed to transport olive oil to the next town. Could Quintus lend him some empty clay pots? The merchant was desperate. Quintus, always willing to help, agreed. Little did Quintus know this simple act of kindness would change his life forever. He would soon find himself far from his little bakery. An extraordinary adventure awaited him. The olive oil incident, a one-way ticket to Olympus. The next morning, Quintus went to his storeroom. He was looking for the special olive oil he used for his bread. It had a unique aroma. He used it sparingly. To his surprise, the pot was empty. "That's strange," he muttered. "I could have sworn I had more." Suddenly he remembered the merchant. He must have taken the wrong pot. As he finished his sentence, the room began to shimmer. A strange energy filled the air. Quintus watched in astonishment. A bright light enveloped him. When the light faded, he found himself in a place unlike any he had ever seen. Towering marble columns reached for a sky filled with swirling clouds. Beautiful music filled the air, and the aroma of nectar and ambrosia, sweeter than anything Quintus had ever smelled, tickled his nose. He had arrived at Mount Olympus, home of the gods. Among gods and goddesses, a baker's unexpected audience. Quintus stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Gods and goddesses gathered around him. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. He had never felt so small, so insignificant. Zeus, the king of the gods, stepped forward. His voice boomed like thunder. "Welcome, mortal. How came you to be on Mount Olympus?" Quintus stammered. I think there's been a mistake. I was looking for my olive oil, and then..." He trailed off, unsure how to explain the unexplainable. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, giggled. Perhaps he traded his olive oil for a glimpse of Olympus. The other gods chuckled. Quintus blushed. He held up the empty clay pot. "I believe this belongs to one of you. It was mistakenly taken instead of..." He stopped, realizing how ridiculous he must sound. Zeus, sensing Quintus's discomfort, smiled. "Fear not, mortal. You are among the gods now. Tell us, what is your name and what do you do?" "I am Quintus, a baker," he replied, emboldened by Zeus's kind eyes. He showed them the bread he had brought with him, still warm in his basket. The gods were intrigued. They had never seen bread before. Intrigued, they each took a bite. Their eyes widened in surprise. The bread was delicious. They had never tasted anything like it. As Quintus demonstrated how to knead bread, he tripped. He fell headfirst into a bowl of nectar. When he emerged, his hair was a sticky mess, dripping with the golden liquid. The sight was so comical that the gods roared with laughter. From that day on, Quintus became the official baker of Olympus. He also, quite accidentally, became their jester. His simple presence, his kind heart, and his knack for accidental humor brought joy to the gods. Life on Olympus was amazing. Quintus baked all sorts of bread for the gods. He used the finest ingredients. He even learned to incorporate nectar and ambrosia into his recipes. He was happy, but a part of him yearned for home. He missed the familiar faces in his village. He missed the smell of his old bakery. He missed the simplicity of his old life. Even the company of the gods couldn't erase the longing in his heart. One day, Quintus confided in Hermes, the messenger god. Hermes was the only god who had traveled to the human world regularly. He understood Quintus's longing. "I miss my home, Hermes," Quintus admitted. "As wonderful as Olympus is, it is not where I belong." Hermes nodded sympathetically. "I understand, Quintus. Perhaps it is time you spoke to Zeus." Gathering his courage, Quintus approached Zeus. He expressed his gratitude for the hospitality and the joy he had experienced on Olympus. But he confessed, his heart yearned for home. Zeus listened patiently. When Quintus was finished, Zeus smiled. "You have brought us much joy, Quintus. You will be missed. You are free to return to your world." Quintus was overjoyed. He thanked Zeus profusely. Before he left, he made a promise. He would send the gods a batch of his special bread every year. He also taught Hephaestus, the god of the forge, how to bake. And so, Quintus returned to his village. He was greeted with surprise and joy. He told everyone about his adventures. He continued to bake his delicious bread. And every year, on the anniversary of his arrival, he sent a basket of his finest loaves to Olympus. A reminder of the ordinary baker who had brought laughter and a taste of home to the gods.